Let's bring in CNN sports analyst Christine Brennan. You can't help but feel for Michael Dell in the background there, just wanting to do a good thing and donate money to millions of kids in the United States, and now spending his day having to react to this and the president weighing in and once again causing an uproar. Christine, in all fairness, I was floored by that call. I'm not a soccer expert, but I've watched enough games to view that as not deserving of a red card last week. That having been said, Team USA handled it, I think, with stride, in a respectful manner, took that red card and fought on the rest of that match, one man down. And we're going to perhaps go to this game today without Balogun. And now the president has entered, and now Sepp Blatter, of all people, says red cards are overturned, quote, by rules, evidence, and independent bodies, not political phone calls. When Sepp Blatter is the voice of institutional integrity, what does that tell you about the concerns that this has raised for FIFA, for the World Cup now, in the games ahead?
Bianna, this is unprecedented to have a U.S. president enter into a field of play decision. That is, as you know, I've covered the Olympics and international sports for a long time, well back, going all the way back to the mid-'80s, and I've covered so many scandals, so much shenanigans and ridiculousness and cheating and corruption, figure skating, gymnastics, FIFA, you name it, and yet I have never covered anything quite like this. Now, far be it from me to defend Sepp Blatter or FIFA. It is one of the most corrupt organizations we have ever seen, certainly in sports. And the Department of Justice in the United States investigated, indicted, there were arrests, and there were times when FIFA officials felt they couldn't even come into the United States and get on U.S. soil because they knew they might get arrested. So FIFA does not deserve our praise. The difference here, there are people who felt that red card decision was terrible. I thought it was a bad decision. There are a lot, I'm sure people were fine with it around the world. That's not what we're talking about here. I mean, it is part of it, but the real story is how a head of state has now gotten into the decision making, and because of the friendship and the Peace Prize, and which of course FIFA made up to give to Trump, and all of the things that have gone on between Trump and Infantino, it all comes back into play in a way in this story, just remarkable. And of course, it's opening a can of worms, as you both know, that what's the next step? The Olympics are coming in 2 years and 8 days to the United States, Los Angeles. Will Donald Trump want to overturn a swimming ruling if someone is called for an illegal turn? Or will he get involved in a gymnastics controversy? Those are the kind of questions that I care about. And I think all of us should, looking down the road of what this means, not just for tonight's game, which is huge, but obviously moving forward to have a president so involved in this way.
Christine, what is this going to be like for Folarin himself? Because, you know, it's one of those things where you have now become a household name. Literally everybody is talking about you, but the conversation has very little to do with your talent. You know, you're in the middle of a controversy that you didn't really create at all. And when you think about, you know, if he ends up playing, he already, I mean, as a star striker, he's already under an enormous amount of pressure. And now he's going to feel the need to justify the fact that he was put back on the pitch, that he was sort of, I just imagine that this whole thing, from his sort of psychological perspective with the pressure, is just going to be really, really difficult for him.
Zain, I agree. I mean, he just turned 25 3 days ago. And of course, he is a birthright citizen, as that controversy has exploded. You know, the fact that his mom and dad were Nigerian, they happened to be lived in London, happened to be visiting the United States. The airline wouldn't let his mom travel because she was so close to giving birth, and he is then born in the United States. So the birthright citizenship argument that Donald Trump was against, well, now he, of course, is defending someone who is a birthright citizen of the United States. So there's that. I mean, this story has everything, and I'm not making fun by any means. It's just remarkable, the various tangents in this story. That's a ton of pressure, as you said. He is the leading scorer for the U.S. He's the best player for the U.S., certainly in this tournament. Unless the appeal it goes through with Belgium and UEFA, the Europeans are furious, absolutely furious. The words, I wrote them down: unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable from the Mecca, the center of men's soccer, Europe. UEFA furious with Gianni Infantino and what FIFA did. So assuming, though, and we have no idea the next few hours, assuming that Balogun is playing in the game, the pressure is extraordinary. There will be, I believe, an asterisk or some kind of a sense about this, the rest of the tournament for the U.S., there will those of course will say it wasn't fair. Obviously, a pall, a cloud over the U.S. team. That's all there because of Donald Trump's phone call. It's very similar to the men's hockey in Milan, where he called in, created a huge controversy. The women did not get that call, and then the outpouring of support for the U.S. women's hockey team as that controversy brewed over a few days. And, you know, Donald Trump's involved in sports in all ways, golf courses, wanted to own an NFL team. So this is what he does. And I think it is a very unfortunate set of circumstances for Balogun. Not that he would play, but the pressure and all of the attention and how his name will be known probably forever. Yeah, it's tough.
It's horrible.
And yet we had the U.S. team coach defending, not necessarily defending the president's phone call, but this decision, and talked about the fact that they had already played the rest of that game last week, one man down, that the pressure had been on them there, that they were prepared today to go without Balogun, and that this was ultimately the right call. As a coach, Christine, of a team that has become so beloved in this country, they didn't force the president to make this call. This is not their fault. What is the message he should be sending those players today? Because so many are saying that momentum perhaps is on Belgium's side to go out and win. How do they reverse that and once again make the American team feel like this is theirs to grab?
You know, score the first goal. Strike first. Don't let it be 0-0 at halftime. All the things that then can increase the nerves. Obviously, it's pretty obvious it's sports and you want to score. But I do think that will be crucial for the U.S. team. There will be a lot of people, not in the arena, in the stadium in Seattle. That's almost all U.S. for sure. It will be raucous. They will be, of course, either pro-Donald Trump, certainly pro-U.S., wanting to support this U.S. team no matter what, including the controversy, will probably certainly help them be a cause celeb for so many American fans. That's great. That's exactly what you expect in sports. But then Belgium, it's kind of like, okay, the underdogs, and they've thrown this at us, assuming, again, that nothing has changed between now and the start of the game. And Belgium will probably be playing as underdogs and wanting to beat the U.S. and beat the U.S. president, who has been involved now with the team. So it is hard to separate the team from the president. I'm sure Pochettino, the coach, is going to absolutely try to do that. This is a team, this is one of the best U.S. men's teams we've ever seen, maybe the best. They know what to do. They know how to put the blinders on and play soccer and not worry about all of this. But it's got to impact that locker room, that clubhouse, that team meeting. No doubt about it. This is so big. It is such an important story with so many tentacles, as I said, that this has to affect the young men who are wearing the red, white, and blue for sure. You just cannot avoid it.
Especially Folarin, and I'm sure he's going to want everyone to sort of move on quite quickly. I'm British Nigerian as well, and so I'm really proud of him. But this is not how I would have wanted him to become a household name.
And American, we should note. So
we're both British, Nigerian, Americans. We have 3 passports.
Listen, they are the last team standing of the host countries. I am rooting for Team USA. I was hoping to also talk to you about Cape Verde and their incredible Cinderella story and goalie.
And England and Mexico.
Yes.
Despite
another
altitude.
time.